All right. Says we're live. We'll take its word for it. Get this thing warmed up. See if anybody drops in before we get started here. Haven't done this in a while, so we'll see if we can draw a crowd. See what everybody's up to before we take you down the trail of woe in the discussion of the chat. But our smoke cleared up yesterday, like out of the blue. Like I did that video the other day, just the apocalypse coming, and then the smoke cleared up that night, and it's been clear blue skies pretty much, with a little bit setting in here. It looks like there's a fire to the south that's bringing some smoke in, I believe, but it's mostly going east from there. But I don't know if California stopped burning or just the wind shifted. But it was really nice yesterday, but it's getting a little smoky today, but it's nice right now. But yeah, what's going on, YouTube? I hope everybody's doing good, getting ready for the showdown, getting ready for the throwdown in your area is kind of the discussion point. Hear me out here. Hey, we got Rob Painless checking in. What's up? TWH. Hey, welcome to the chat. I don't think I've ever seen you in the chat before. What's going on? Thanks for checking in. Yeah, the subject of evaluating your possibilities. Just to, I think, show how my brain works. I think I've discussed it enough. People kind of understand how I go through different scenarios. But last year sometime I made the video about evaluating your area where you are. Whether you can get out or not is not the issue. Everybody knows that, but not only knowing, the vulnerabilities of your area and the likelihood for violence, I guess, or unrest is a way to put it. Evaluating the likelihood of that type of unrest or any type of unrest is part of your preparations and what you're prepping for and what you're going to do, whether bug in or bug out, etc. I did that video last year, just evaluating what I called seams in society and where those seams are at in your area, whether it's cities away or it's in your town or in your community or whatever. And I'm talking about kind of what I'm talking about now and reevaluating that, just kind of give you an idea of the way I think and what I think the possibilities could be. And I always start with the worst possibility first, right? The worst eventuality that could affect me, I should say. The worst possible outcome where it could affect me the most, right? So that's kind of where I'm coming from, starting off on this. Hey, Walter Davis, what's happening? Thanks for checking in. Good to see you. Walter's, I've been negligent watching your videos, Walter. I know you've put out a couple lately, but I'll get around to it. Everybody's busy, I think. Everybody says they're on quarantine except for all of us. I think we're the only ones staying busy. But just looking at my worst possible scenario in the coming up in 60 days with the election causing the most potential for unrest, if you will, and being near the state capitol. And so talking to some people that most of you all know on the different potentials and possibilities. So I got to get my coffee that I topped out just to, once I finish the coffee, I got to go. All the eventualities that could pop up in this coming next month and a half. Wait, 2 months. Yeah, a month and a half, 2 months. The worst eventuality I think we have is that Carson City is removed and is the political center, but is removed from our population center in Vegas, right? And that's kind of where the ideological split is as well. And I talked about that briefly in that other video I did last year, where the politics that surround the Capitol are not the politics of the people who control the Capitol, if that makes sense. Most of the constitutional officers are far left radicals. They retweet every BLM talking point, and they retweet, and they socialize with those type of people on the social media and stuff like that. So that's their ideology for most of them. We only have one constitutional officer that's a Republican, but she is the Secretary of State. So thinking down that lines of how that could potentially cause problems in 2 months, this fracas they're trying to create with this voting, mail-in voting and everything else, how that could cause problems, not only countrywide, but here uh, with our remote geography and other issues that could potentially get in the way. And if come, November 4th or whatever day that is, I think we're working on, that the election is unsettled and whatever everybody else has done, that's a tie, and Nevada is the like state holding it all up because our five electoral votes are what's going to hang in the balance of deciding the winner, right? That's where it could get, I think, the most ugly for us. And here in the local area, right? Like Vegas could always turn into a cesspool. That's a given. But what I'm worried about is political division and political violence based around that election, right? Because if it could go either one of two ways, either the Secretary of State, who is the lone side of the right, I guess you would say, is either in a rush to validate the election results or is holding up the election results, causing everybody else in the country to focus on Nevada, like Florida, like it happened in Florida in 2000, right? But this year things are amped up a lot more. Um, the governor already doesn't spend any time up here. um, Most of the legislative people don't live up here; they live in Vegas, down in that area. And come election night, they're not going to be up here. But if things get really sideways and how that turns out, and the certifying official does something that most of the constitutional officers don't like, or is holding up the process because the results are so wacky, or there's not ballots being counted, all the other different possibilities of this mail-in voting debacle that they're creating, could that potentially really cause a problem here in Carson City, which would directly affect everything that we do in this area? Does it have the potential to go that way to where you could see a lockdown of the city, the constitutional officers infighting, the attorney general trying to use his power to force the Secretary of State to validate results, stuff like that, and where people are going to really start hitting the streets, and maybe potentially more aggressive, I guess, protesting than what we've seen. Worse than Portland, more like what could you see what happened in Kenosha multiplied up here, and that's really what I look at as a worst possibility for what could happen here. Now, if things go out on schedule, I guess you'd say, Vegas drives what happens in the election, everything goes to Biden in Nevada, and there's no problems, and somebody else in the country has that issue that we don't. If those issues are happening somewhere else, what does that mean for what happens around here? And it's evaluating those possibilities. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when, you got 60 days to evaluate what could happen in your area as a result of these elections. People like Tommy Boy and Tony, I don't think you're going to have, problems no matter what happens. You're far enough removed away that you're probably going to be all right, regardless of either way it goes. But there's a lot of us that are in localities, or just, as we've discussed, any big city has the potential on any given day, because these thugs roam around in caravans, it looks like, from all the news we're seeing, and cause unrest at the drop of a hat if they wanted to. If they wanted to target where you are, they can target you pretty quickly, or the locals. And as we talked about creating the what was the word for it? Accidental guerrilla. The Accidental Guerrillas was a book I talked about a while back, written by Kilcullen, and it's written from the perspective of the superpower, right? How the superpower prevents accidental guerrillas from occurring in all these nations where there's insurgencies going on, right? How do you prevent the insurgent guerrillas from popping out of the woodwork to oppose you when it doesn't make any sense that you're providing all these goods and services, right? You're providing roads and stuff. Why would insurgents pop up, or whatever the case is? You're trying to provide stability. Why do accidental guerrillas pop up? Well, and another question is, how do Kyles pop up, right? How does Kyle Rittenhouse pop up? That's an accidental guerrilla. What can you expect in your area of more people like that on either side? Ideologically speaking, who's going to come out to help the community to prevent it from burning down? How many do you expect? Do you expect to have those types of things in your area, and even in your neighbors? On either way, and supporting your neighbors in either case. So that's kind of where I'm going with this thought process, and just if you've got 60 days to evaluate it, what do you need to avoid it, prepare for it, and that's the worst case scenario. And then you can backward plan if you're ready for that. Well, the worst case, well then the easier stuff, like I said, if another Florida 2000 happens somewhere else, like in Florida or Virginia or something, doesn't really affect me other than the news cycle, right, which we can ignore. So there's a lot of things you can ignore in those bad result situations, right? That sun is we're moving around the sun, right? So cold. So just that's my thoughts this morning about evaluating your likelihood and possibilities for the next 60 days as you prepare, as you continue to prepare, as you shore up your stores and your route to work and your work habits and your work site, where you go to work. If you have a job site that rotates, how's that going to be affected if different things happen in a city? Like think about backcountry preps, working down in SoCal there in San Diego County and stuff, like legitimate could have a work site close to an area that could go sideways pretty quick if the election doesn't work out the way some people want. Could get interested for different people for different reasons. Guns coast to coast, definitely in an area where, depending on how things shake out, Ohio could be one of those questionable states that hangs in the balance on November 4th, and people start going to blows over the whole thing, and affects not only your work schedule, your route to work, if you can go to work at all, you can get to the grocery store, all the different things. It might not be the Rona that keeps you quarantined. It might be an unrest that's keeping you quarantined, self-quarantine, right? Because you have enough common sense to stay off the street, potentially, if got to stay home and take care of you and yours in a lot of cases. Or if you're like backcountry preps and you have I don't want to assume, but just like he's got a work lot where he stores a lot of his work equipment, stuff like equipment lot. If he's got a work equipment lot he needs to protect, like taking considerations like that in, taking advanced precautions so there's no looting that occurs of that location, because people like to turn that stuff around sell that stuff and go get them some body armor stuff. It sounds like the Antifas are getting their body armor stockpiled. It's like stuff that we've been talking about for years. They're finally getting around to doing. So I guess they were a day late, $1 short. So at least they're paying higher prices. But so that's just something I want to put out there is you got 60 days to plan it out and think through the possibilities, and go through okay, it could get really bad, but that's the least likely, but that's really bad, right? It's kind of like we did the triangle a while back that Midwest Prepper did, because he did it before he was Guns Coast to Coast. So it's Midwest Prepper's triangle, about your worst case at the top of the triangle, but least likely, and working your way down to the everyday disasters that could affect you. Because as much as the Rona's affected people with this quarantine, we still haven't seen, at least in America that I'm aware of, people's water being, well, I take that back. LA is deliberately cutting people's water off, that they have, house gatherings and stuff like that. But could you have, water power shortages due to people not being able to get to work? We had brownouts in California. They were talking about that here. They put out an alert for that here, but I think it only may have affected Vegas at the time. But those things could become just as likely in a unrest situation as they are in a power usage situation or water shortage situation, droughts. Just a different cause of it when people people can't get to work, when people, are scared to go to work. When the politicians are scared to go to work, we're all should be a lot better off. The sun keeps moving on me every about 5 minutes, right? All right, I've jabbed enough to see if you guys got any good comments. Of course you got good comments, right? Food Force Permaculture, what's up? Howie, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. Thanks for checking in. Hey, good morning, Corsair. What's up, Steve? Food Force going to pick peaches and plums. Nice. Always got food on the homestead there. Chipper 66, good morning. Everybody just saying hi, checking in. Tommy Boy's watching yesterday's muster. Oh, Irish's muster? Yeah, I've been missing out on Irish's videos. He always, it's never in the morning. It's like lunchtime for him. It's like 09:10 here. It's like I'm already out doing something and it comes up, and it's just like I never hardly get around to it. I get around to Stinger's show in the evening sometimes. And the Saint, good morning. How are you? School stuff, says Steve. School stuff, is that right? I guess you guys are doing distance learning down there. They have to stay home, but they still have to talk to their teachers through the computer. It's almost like if you could have just have everything on the internet, it might work out, right? Rob can't come up with anything profound to add. What was going on yesterday, Rob? Have I missed a video that we need to check out? I've been negligent on a lot of Wes's chats. I haven't been able to check. I've just been off of YouTube a lot. I just haven't been able to watch many videos. I watch kind of a handful and just been busy. So, I mean, that's the way it is. It goes in cycles. But if there's, I'd imagine just everybody this time of year, harvest time of year, people getting things wrapped up and put in the barn. It's a busy time of year for the outdoor folks. You got people going. I know Delaware Patriot, I think, went hunting maybe recently, or was getting ready to go hunting. People doing the outdoors thing this time of year. If you're not cleaning up the harvest of the homestead, you're going out hunting and doing those outdoor things as the heat of the summer calms down a little bit. No video for Rob. All right, yeah, no worries. I always appreciate your videos, Rob. They're always on point when they do roll around, Tommy Boy's happy he's on lockdown. Yeah. Yeah, what do you do normally, Tommy Boy? Just wait for your gold to come in the mail is all I thought you did. Justin Smith, welcome to the chat. Thanks for checking in. Welcome. Comments work there. Well, the chat's working. I don't know. YouTube, it goes in and out. Their fidelity on what comes through when you go to a certain page or video, it's hit and miss. I don't know if the unsubscribe thing continues. I haven't been unsubscribed from anybody that I know of recently, but it seems like that's a every 3 or 4 month thing where you have to go resubscribe to somebody that YouTube unsubscribed you from them or whatever. I'm sure it was on accident, right? Tommy Boy's adding coins to the chain around your neck. I don't even know what that means, Tommy Boy. Are you trying to weigh yourself down? Oh, your 520 Homestead account isn't up, Justin? Oh, like you mean actually add comments? I haven't seen a video from you, Justin, in years. You haven't been doing videos, have you? Because that might be, you need to subscribe again if you have been, you know. Are you talking about your gold chain, Tommy boy? It sounds like. Hey, Grey Note, what's going on? Grey Note's been throwing out some good stuff on the videos. Yeah, good to see you, Justin. It's been a minute. And I mean, like I said, I haven't done many videos in the last 6 months anyway. Rob says, I guess I can mention. Seems like a serious group, all serious men doing serious things. That's what you got to have. If you're going to do serious things, you got to have serious people, right, Rob? It's the only way to be. It's like when the whole Kyle thing went down, everybody was jumping to criticize, but I don't know. It's hard to criticize somebody who performs essentially flawlessly, you know, in the face of stress and confusion. You know, there's always room for improvement, but as an individual, at the individual level, it went pretty well for him. But the group as a whole, obviously, we talked some of those key learning points last week, but I think people need to, as when we talked about last week and over the weekend about, you know, providing a perimeter and standoff for a defensive site, like people really need to look at, get more serious in their thinkings, right, Rob? That if you're going to defend something, you have to set it up to defend. Don't think that your body, do not put your body out there to absorb bullets, I guess is what my point is. That's the worst case, right? The more in between case, you're putting yourself out there on the front edge as you are the defensive barrier, you know, getting in altercations, somebody taking your tools from you, getting in a fracas, getting in a scrape that you don't need to be in, right, Rob? Think through these things a little more seriously. Don't just put yourself out there as you are the big tough guy going to defend something. Like, use your tools and use other things to provide the defense for you, because it's not worth. It's like I said. It's been said, I guess you'd say. Who said it? Patton. You're here to fight for your country, make the other dumb son of a bitch die for theirs, or something like that. Yeah, I think Patton said something like that. So yeah, whatever. When you're defending your property, you're making them, if they want to destroy property, you got to make them pay the price, right? You don't need to pay the price for defending your property. They have to pay the price for assaulting and destruction of property, or whatever, however you want to look at it. But don't just put yourself out there on the edge. But it's good to have like-minded people, you know. Hey, 520, there's a comment. That's a good test. Brass ran out, Tommy, is that right? And that is a good point, Rob. And I think I commented on somebody's, I think it was on Twitter, somebody's comment on some stuff that was going on. If people really want to get serious, when you look at what happened in a lot of these communities, counties have to start standing up a militia for training. If that's the only way you're going to get a handle on any of this. Your sheriff is going to be overwhelmed almost 99,000 times out of a million or 100,000, right? The sheriff doesn't have enough support. There's too much stuff going on in other places to get any support. When you see like what's happened in Portland, none of the outside counties will support, right? The sheriff's locals. But that's a more, hey, you guys are just a bunch of jackwagons, we're not going to help you out here type thing. But more to the point, if counties don't want to have their sheriff in a in-between position, they have to stand up a militia at a county level get it organized, designate a commander that reports to the county or a committee of safety. These processes have been in American tradition for years. We just forgot about it and got rid of, and just ignored it, I guess you'd say. But there's a way to do it the right way. We all don't, but what they have now is you got a bunch of loosely affiliated groups who the sheriff doesn't know them, the county doesn't know them, the neighbors don't know each other, the different groups don't know each other, and they all show up to an event all with the same goal to a large extent, to protect, but there's still that degree of unknown, right? It would be so much better if, and we had this happen down here in a small town, Minden, down south of Carson. The BLM showed up, as such as it was. It was overwhelmingly didn't go well for them, but the point was the sheriff was caught in the middle between an overwhelming armed group versus the BLM, right? The BLM people. Whereas if you see an event coming up like that, your sheriff can be advised by the county to bring in the militia to support, right? To provide that safety and security that everybody's looking for in these events, so that there's not property destruction, instead of just a bunch of loosely affiliated groups and just relying on people's good faith. There's an organizational structure that you can create. It's a miracle. Guess what? There's this thing out there that can prevent all this community chaos, but nobody wants to go that route. Everybody's been trained that that's a bad word, and all these, I don't know, we've talked about it for so long, it's almost getting exasperated. The feds have been paying off local law enforcement for so long, and they've been training them for so long to be distrustful of militia and people that describe themselves as that, et cetera, that the discussion at a county commissioner meeting would not go well, probably, if you did bring that up to a county commissioner to, pass something like that. They're just like in the old days, militia would have to pay, for your own weapons and stuff. It's just you get organized and you're a county recognized body, right? But everything's still self-supported. That's the whole idea. It's a self-supported community organization. The feds have been supporting and paying for these CERT teams, Community Emergency Response Team, I think that's what it stands for. And the feds have been dumping money into that hand over fist for 20 years. And what is it? It's a bunch of people who volunteer. You got some ham operators, you got some EMTs. It's mostly old, 50 years and up type people who want to get involved in the community, and they go to special events, and they do some traffic control every now and then. They do some search and rescue. It's not the militia. That's the feds' answer to the militia, is to have this thing funded and have these people that want to get involved, so they're active. But it's nothing like what the county actually needs in times of unrest to actually provide stability and property protection and stuff like that, when the sheriff can't be everywhere at once. Such as it is, Rob, such as it is. It's good that a lot of places the county sheriff will recognize stuff like that, at least on an informal level, where he knows who you are, he knows what you're doing. But in a lot of places, they're really suspicious, and I don't know. Your sheriff better than anybody, Rob. But in 99 cases out of 100, the sheriff will be forwarding the names of certain people to the FBI threat fusion liaison people, just as a courtesy or whatever. They'll be sharing information back and forth with that the sheriffs and the law enforcement are more closely tied to the feds than they are to the local community. I'll say that, which is part of our problem. Oh, we got lots of comments. Wes S showed up. What's up, Wes? Guns Coast to Coast, heard his ears burning, showed up too. He heard me calling Midwest Preppers. What happened? He heard Midwest Prepper. He had to come in and correct everybody. I called it's the Midwest Prepper Pyramid because you did it before you were Guns Coast to Coast, just so you know the reference. It rained in Wes's territory. What's up? What's up? All right, I'm caught up on the comments. It's been a half hour. If anybody missed the topic of the chat, you can go back and watch from the beginning once this thing uploads. I just wanted to get it live and throw some stuff out there about getting ready for the next 60 days. And just, I plan for the worst case scenario over here and plan backwards from there. Like, how bad could it get? It really get, you know? What's the worst possibility for my locality? Okay, then we'll back off that and see what we're potentially prepared for, what are we getting ready for. And okay, if we know it's getting that bad, what would we need to do? You know, would the worst eventuality that could come out of this November 4th debacle cause us to have to leave, stay home, all the different things and considerations you need to put into that. So any of y'all missed that stuff, the discussion, if you're here for the for that part of the discussion, it's back at the beginning. Then people checked in. Tommy boy, you missed the first 10 minutes. That's the best 10 minutes. You know that. What's a Prince lyric? A Prince lyric, like the man formerly known as Prince, that kind of lyric? Man, where y'all getting this rain from? We had a couple of thunderstorms a couple weeks ago, but rain, what's that? Maybe we'll get some in October. But usually it's thunderstorms during the summer, just evening. And you don't want too many of those because they always bring lightning and fires. But wherever the smoke's coming from, they could use some. They could use a little bit of rain on those areas, I'm sure. Rob, you don't know 520? I guess you probably don't. 520 is old school. He goes back to the old days on the YouTube here, at least with our channel. He doesn't do so much on the videos so much anymore, but been around in the chats and stuff for a long time. Yeah, right, 520, that's the way it is here. You get a 20, 30-minute thunderstorm and that's your rain for like 3-4 weeks. Yeah, such as it is. So, all right, yeah, we're over the halfway point. We're going to wrap it up. Thanks for checking in, everybody. Again, the main topic is back in the first 10 minutes, and the rest is going off on side trails. Wes, so we're rising up and taking over. Wes wants to be a general. Good luck, Wes. No, I don't know if there's going to be a rise up and take over of anything. Oh, well, 520, the Dragon ran till, it ran from 2020 or 2012 to 2015. When was, it's 2016. 2012, 2016, that was the Dragon time frame. When it was rolling hard there, 13, 14 time, era. That's when it was really big time. I mean, shoot the Dragon and have 100 people in a chat. The good old days, right? When we used to talk about these things that we could see coming, we didn't know how far out they were. There you go, Tommy boy. Exactly. You fully evaluated. Yeah, I'd say you 520, Wes and Rob are probably fine. Almost no matter what happens, it's going to be inconsequential. It's all about what's near you that could potentially affect if things go crazy. But I mean, I'm sure Kenosha wasn't exactly a place people thought something like that could happen either. So take everything within consideration, except all options. Plan for all options, I guess, would be a way to think about it. So, all right, folks, thanks for checking out. I got to get out of here. Coffee's done, and we're going to get things done around here today. So y'all be good. You know what to do. Prep hard, live free.